What's going on, guys? JSGC here, and we are here for another debrief episode where we're going to be debriefing Manchester City's win over Wolverhampton Wanderers in the Premier League. So before I do crack on with this stream, I wanted to warmly welcome everybody into the room and into the chat for tuning in. Julia, hello, welcome. I do hope that you are well. And it is brilliant to hear from you as well. I hope you had a great weekend. And I also hope you enjoyed Manchester City picking up the 3 points, even though it is, well, it's on the verge of giving me a heart attack yesterday in being able to watch the game. So, Julia, welcome. Much appreciated. And welcome to everybody else for tuning in as well. Julia, very quick note for you for tuning in. You can enjoy lots of stuff on the chat and keyboard if you so wish, including the use of GIFs if you so want to. So we're just going to digest and get on with the talking points here from this game. It was, I don't think it was an entertaining game. I think it was a game that Manchester City have seen all too often so far this season. It's been a game where Manchester City have needed to ensure that they grind enough to pick up the points and the results that they're looking for. Arsenal at home, 1-0 up, doing well, don't get that killer second goal. Arsenal grab a couple of goals. They go ahead. They go down to 10 men. We spent the second half huffing and puffing without being able to blow the house down. Seen it against Brentford at home as well. They go ahead. Manchester City making work for themselves. Ipswich at home. Manchester City go behind and making work for themselves. Wolves away here as well. Manchester City making work for themselves. Is it fluent? Is it clean? Is it slick? Is it Manchester City at the very best? Absolutely not. Is it Manchester City grinding and keeping themselves in touching distance of the Premier League, Premier League top of the table, competing to try and be champions? Then absolutely, Manchester City are keeping themselves within touching distance of first place and putting pressure onto Arsenal, who sit just below Manchester City, and putting pressure onto Liverpool, who are just ahead of City by a point, and we've still got to play Liverpool both home and away as well. So they could be very, very big games for Manchester City. So we're going to have a look at how this game went. So it's going to load up the tactic board for you guys, so we're able to speak a little bit more about how both sides were set up and what worked really well for Wolves, what worked really well for Manchester City, and also do a little bit of analysis from there. So, starting with Manchester City, we lined up with Ederson in goal, go with a back four made up of Rico Lewis. You'd see him move more over here and inverting. Is this defensively working for Manchester City? I love Rico Lewis. I think he's a brilliant player. He's brilliant when teams aren't going to counter attack Manchester City because he's able to get forward. I feel like he offers a real threat in midfield and a real threat going forward, and Manchester City trying to score goals. Whereas if City at any one point are going to be put on the back foot, which Wolves managed to a couple of times, City's defence was, to me anyway, always looking a little disjointed. So that to me is how it was for Manchester City. So what you were seeing was a lot of the time Rico Lewis is having to kind of move over here. You were seeing John Stones having to kind of move over through to the centre. Manchester City, like Josko Gvardiol, when he's getting forward to push in and provide support for the width of someone like Jeremy Doku, who I'd expect to be seeing somewhere over here. And if Wolves are going to come forward and try and hurt Manchester City on the counter-attack, then obviously they're going to be sending their attackers going forward. You're going to see something along the lines of this. And what we saw really well from Wolves was this man here, Nelson Semedo, who was able to dissect Manchester City not once, but a couple of times, getting forward and offered a real attacking threat for Wolves. He had a really good game, Nelson Semedo, which I'd expect him to because he's played for Barcelona. He is a very good right back, and he caused Manchester City all kinds of problems. He grabbed himself an assist for the tap-in where he saw Larson just dissect through Manchester City's defence and just pop up in the right place at the right time. Well-timed run, beautiful ball from Semedo to put the ball into the back of the net past Ederson and make it 1-0 Wolves on 7 minutes. And Manchester City just looked disjointed. That's how Man City's defence has looked, I think, so far this season. I think they're adapting. I'm not too sure right now Manchester City know who their strongest defence is. Obviously, Kyle Walker, if he had his pace and his head about him, would be a regular starter for Manchester City, but him, like Phil Foden, he's not had a pre-season, he's not had a full chance to prepare himself for the upcoming season, so it's going to take a bit of time for that to happen, and because of that, I feel like we're really missing a peak Kyle Walker performance at the back from City, with him able to showcase that he's got the capabilities of dealing with counter-attack threats and showing a good defensive responsibility for Manchester City as well. And I thought his absence was really felt by Manchester City in this match. And if I'm honest, going forward, looking towards the summer, I would potentially sell Kyle Walker going into the final year of his contract, and I'd be looking for a new right back, a right back who is quick, who can defend, who can alternate with Rico Lewis. So you've always got that quick option to be wary of the counter-attacks, because we're seeing time and time again this season, City being hurt on the counter-attack. And when we go up against, I'm not saying Wolves are a bad team, but when you go up against some of the very best teams in the Premier League and also in Europe, Manchester City could get hurt. And they need to be wary of that. They really do need to be wary of that. But it weren't all doom and gloom for Manchester City. There were some real positives to take away from this game, including the man that I've highlighted there, Josko Gvardiol. He is a brilliant player, absolutely brilliant. I don't really know how to describe him, because he's a defender. He's a centre-back. When he plays for Croatia, he plays as a left-sided centre-back. Think of him like Aymeric Laporte, but he's doing so much more than what Aymeric Laporte could do. He's not a traditional defender. He can play left wing-back. He can play left-back. He can play centre-back. And he's showcased in this game that if you're going to have these defenders right here for Wolves sitting deeper, trying to defend Manchester City's attacks coming forward, you were seeing a lot of the time with Wolves having to do this. And that's having every man in their own half trying to defend. So Jeremy Doku's breaking and getting space, and he's getting tracked here by Bruyne and Semedo. And if Gomes is looking over here, because it's a busy job, you've got to deal with Erling Haaland, you've got to deal with Bernardo Silva, you've got to deal with Savinho, you've got to deal with Rico Lewis wanting to invert and get forward, this man Mateo Kovacic, Ilkay Gundogan wanting to get forward. What you tend to see is something along the lines of this. And if you look at that team, who's got the freedom there for Manchester City? Well, it's this man right here, Josko Gvardiol, pops up right here, puts it onto his weaker right foot, and bends in top bins into the top corner. And what you see him from Manchester City time and time again is City are brilliant at being able to work the ball and get the ball into the final third over here. And then a lot of the players are trying to get forward. I'm not too sure if it's down to static movement or teams just having to defend much, much deeper in throwing everybody behind the ball, that you end up with something like this. It looks a little bit of a mess. And Man City are so good at, if you're going to have the attackers for Wolves drop a little deeper, where you're going to get space. Manchester City's defenders here, Ruben Dias, John Stones, Kovacic, Josko Gvardiol, Rico Lewis. They're going to get time and space on the ball around 20 to 25 yards out. If you improve your shooting from long range, comes a real outlet. And we saw from the match in the second half against Arsenal, Manchester City were not applying themselves enough with their long-range shooting, and it needed to be improved upon. And I'm certain that City this week have been working on that. They've expected Wolves to go deep. Because they've gone deep, Man City have been working on trying to get their players to have accurate long-range 20 to 25-yard shots, including Ruben Dias forcing a good save from Jose Sarr, Josko Gvardiol getting that top bins goal for Manchester City as well, a thing of absolute beauty. Then it becomes a real outlet for City, and that to me is a tremendous bonus. Having defenders who can get forward, who can have shots, because they will be given space because, defenders are occupied. They're having to try and deal with the pace of Doku, the technical ability of Savinho, the presence of Erling Haaland, of Bernardo Silva, of Ilkay Gundogan. When we get Kevin De Bruyne back in a week or two's time as well, these defenders are going to start to see even more time and space on the ball. And I think that's a real outlet. Kovacic has really upped his game, I think, this season for City. He's scoring more goals. I think you're going to be seeing John Stones having more shots from outside the box, Ruben Dias and Josko Gvardiol as well. That, to me, was a tremendous bit that I took away from this game. And that's something that City could work on even more going forward into the coming games. We've got games coming up where I'm expecting teams to sit really tight and really deep. A couple of difficult games in there. Got Southampton at home coming up in the Premier League. Got Tottenham Hotspur in the League Cup coming up. We've got a couple of Champions League games, a home match against Sparta Prague, an away match against Sporting Lisbon. We've also got away matches against AFC Bournemouth and against Brighton and Hove Albion as well. Now, I reckon 2 or 3 of them teams that I've just named to you are going to find themselves for the majority of the game having to sit really deep to try and absorb Manchester City. So it's well within City's best interest to ensure that they're putting themselves in the best and strongest positions possible by using their every bit of attacking credentials that they've got, but also utilising their phase play. And going behind in games is not helping. Got to go ahead, score the opening goal, push for a killer second, and it opens teams up and allows Manchester City to be nice and fluent with their attacking credentials and capabilities. And that, to me, is Man City's best way of defending as well, putting teams onto the back foot. And it's not really something that we've seen so far in this season. So I'm just thinking further ahead for the Sparta Prague game. You're obviously going to see Manchester City making changes. So what do we reckon? I reckon we'll go, should we go back 3? I reckon probably somewhat similar to that. Kovacic, I reckon, will start. We'll line up with the midfielders here. There we go. It'll be something along these lines. Looking towards the bench. I don't think we risk Ake. I think I'd put him on for 20 minutes against Sparta Prague, see how he copes, and maybe give him some more minutes at the weekend against Southampton. But I reckon Akanji probably will feature. So if that is the case, then I reckon John Stones might sit the Champions League game out. You don't really want John Stones needlessly doing 2 games in 3 days. Doesn't need to be doing that. I think we'll see Phil Foden come into the team. I would like to see him going behind the striker Erling Haaland. What do you do out wide is the question. I mean, this man right here, Matheus Nunes, I'd like to see him get more minutes and showcase what he can do. So I think I'd take Gundogan out and put Matheus Nunes in, if I'm being honest. And then what else do you do? Jack Grealish. How do you start Jack Grealish in this game? Can you start Jack Grealish in this game? Would you start Jack Grealish in this game? I wasn't too impressed with Jeremy Doku, if I'm honest, against Wolves. So based on that, he's been finding form, Jack Grealish. So I think I'd probably go with him. And I just wonder if you want to rest Kovacic, whether you could maybe go Gundogan into that 6 role, maybe try and use him in a different way. Maybe something along them lines is what City might go for Sparta Prague. Just looking further ahead, maybe bit of rotation in there. Some much needed minutes for some players who are needing minutes, the likes of Phil Foden, Matheus Nunes, Jack Grealish, and co. That's what I would be going for. Anyway, yeah, so that's us looking ahead. That's us speaking, obviously, about the Manchester City game and how it's gone against Wolves. The only other talking point, really, that we've got to speak about is that last-minute winner from Manchester City. So I'll give my thoughts on it. Let's have a good look at it. And I think the best way of looking at it is from this tweet that was sent out from ESPN. So I'll just share my screen. So I hope you guys can see that. So this is what we were dealing with. You can see right over here, corners coming in from Phil Foden, who's come on as a substitute for Manchester City. And it's great to see Man City actually utilising set pieces, because we've been pretty bad at set pieces so far this season. He whips a ball in. Manchester City, you can see the lineup here. They've got, I think there's 3 defenders just lined up here. who are ready to try and win that header. Now, your Wolves, 96th minute, you're defending a really good result, a point at home to Manchester City when points have been very hard to come by so far this season, and the City bottom. You've got to win that header. They don't. They give John Stones half a yard of space to win a header. Really, really poor defending. Now, in the aftermath of this goal, none of the Wolves players start appealing or complaining to the referee. I believe the on-field decision from the linesman communicated to the referee and fourth official was Bernardo Silva was deemed interfering with play and an offside was given as the original decision on field, which was recommended to be looked at by the referee from VAR to overturn that decision for a goal to be awarded because they don't think that Bernardo Silva was interfering with play. So, corner kick comes in from Phil Foden. As you can see, he's getting ready to step in. Bernardo Silva remained and always was in an offside position as the ball's coming in. Now, as the ball comes in, I think you're looking at these two images right here. I think you are more looking at a potential foul on the goalkeeper. Now, the goalkeeper's head never moves from him looking at the ball. He knows Bernardo Silva's in front of him. He's happy to go into a physical altercation with Bernardo Silva because Bernardo Silva instigates a little barge obstructing the goalkeeper here. So the goalkeeper responds by pushing Bernardo Silva in the back. And as the ball comes into the box, Bernardo Silva then moves out of the way. So it then becomes an opinion. Has Bernardo Silva obstructed the goalkeeper? Has he fouled the goalkeeper? For me, nowhere near enough for a foul. The next question has to be, is he interfering with play? Well, if the goalkeeper moved his head to look at Bernardo Silva and he was off, putting him off, potentially having to make a save or to come and collect the ball, then there would be a case. The keeper's focus never moves off the ball. Bernardo Silva's, 5'8"? Goalkeeper's much bigger than him, as you can see. He's more than capable of just brushing him aside. Football's a contact sport. I think Wolves' defending's got to be better, and I think the goalkeeper has got to use his strength there. If the goalkeeper just barges Bernardo Silva out of the way, a penalty wouldn't be given. Never in ever would a penalty be given for that. And 96th minute, I think the goalkeeper's got to use his rights there to do a little bit more and be stronger. He isn't. And because Bernardo Silva, by the time that header comes in and the actual initial contact comes in, you've got to look at this image and you've got to say, is Bernardo Silva interfering with play? Well, as you can see, he moves out of the way. He's a good 1 yard to the goalkeeper's right. He's not in the way of the football. The goalkeeper could make the save if it's straight at him. What it is a really good header from John Stones, and it was a needed goal for Manchester City. In my opinion, no obstruction on the goalkeeper, no foul on the goalkeeper, not interfering with play, therefore not offside, and it's a legit goal. Wolves are unhappy, but I feel like they're not unhappy because this decision's gone against them. I think that they're unhappy, the fans anyway, are unhappy that they've had similar incidents where their goals have been ruled out for similar things, and it's all subjective. And to me, as I was pointing out in my YouTube video, that is the problem here with referees and VAR. It's inconsistent. To me, this goal shouldn't be ruled out. And if there's goals scored like it, whether it be for or against Manchester City or for other teams as well, goals shouldn't be getting ruled out for this. I'm trying to look at this from an unbiased point of view. Wolves have had goals disallowed for the same kind of things, and they shouldn't have been disallowed. This goal shouldn't be disallowed. City fans have been complaining about Arsenal's goal that they scored, about a potential obstruction on Ederson. But to me, City's defending should be stronger. I don't think there was a foul on Ederson in the build-up to Arsenal's corner goal that they scored past us earlier in the season. Now, there's a clear foul on the goalkeeper. You're holding him. You're stopping him from getting to the ball. Then that, to me, is a foul. There's not the protection there for the goalkeeper. But it just seemed normally you would see goalkeeper gets touched even a little bit, a free kick's given. If Jose Sarr goes down here, a free kick would be given. And to me, Bernardo Silva backing into it and him pushing Bernardo Silva, neither of them are free kicks. Neither of them should be fouls. And it was actually a little bit refreshing to see that a goal was given here because I think it was the correct decision. And Wolves haven't picked up a point here, not down to officials, but down to poor defending on the corner. Now, there'll be other incidents like this, of course. It's always going to be the case in football. Look towards VAR, look towards the officials, rather than looking towards what should be disallowed and what shouldn't be disallowed. Because to me, football is a physical game, and that to me is a perfectly good goal. And goals that have been scored like this beforehand should also be awarded as well. Because to me, too much protection on the goalkeepers, and even there's too many reasons for looking to disallow football goals. Shouldn't be the case. Should be looking at them and going, do you know what? We want games to be thrilling. We want games to be entertaining. You want games to be really good on the eye and nice watches. You want football to be entertaining. And whilst Manchester City huffed and puffed yesterday, and you had the controversies and talking points, and it creates the entertainment, we're going back to the point I was making right at the start of the stream, where Manchester City too often are just knocking the ball around with no real intensity, not finding any ways to get the attackers involved in the game, not getting any way to get Erling Haaland involved in the game. And Manchester City, in terms of a performance basis and heading towards the game against Sparta Prague in midweek in the Champions League and our match against Southampton next weekend and beyond, performances need to be much better from Manchester City. So we'll have a very quick look at the analysis for this game, and we will wrap things up from there. So as you can see, Manchester City won at Molineux in front of an attendance of 31,319. A sold-out away end from City as well, all in good, fine voice yesterday. Some right scenes with that John Stones last-minute winner. Goal scored by Larson on 7 minutes. Josko Gvardiol, that cracker on 33 minutes in the first half, and it's took until the 95th minute for Manchester City to find their winner through Super Johnny Stones. So let's have a look then at the statistics and make our judgments based from there. City dominated possession, just under 78% possession. Lots more shots than Wolves. 3 shots for Wolves, 2 on target. Probably should have scored a couple of goals. Nathan Semedo should have scored as well in the second half, and Cunha went very close with an effort. So there were 3 good chances for Wolves. Had they been clinical, they'd have picked up 3 points from this game. That concerns me because Wolves are bottom. 22 shots for City, 7 on target. Lots of huffing and puffing, but no real opportunities to try and blow the house down. And how often are we seeing City getting towards 90% pass completion rate, dominating possession, dominating shots, getting shots on target, yet struggling to grind and break teams down? Teams know that City is struggling right now, so their approach is going to be, we're going to copy that. So City have got to sort that out very quickly, because look at the clear cuts. Wolves are defending deep, limited City to nothing clear cut. Wolves counter-attack, couple of clear-cut opportunities, 1 corner for them, 18 for Manchester City. And this is what I was saying about corners. They're a brilliant asset for City because of how attacking we are. We get lots of corners and lots of set pieces. So they're a good opportunity to score goals. And it was really refreshing to see that City saved the best to last to score that header from John Stones when we really needed him to. 5 saves for Jose Sarr in goal, just 1 save for Ederson to make. 4 yellow cards for Wolves, 1 for Manchester City, no red cards. Man City continue to win their games and are unbeaten so far in the season. For Wolves, look at this row of red that they've got, sitting bottom of the Premier League on just 1 point. How did they try and stop the rot? We pick up the 3 points. I'm delighted with that. And we move forward from there and we push to try and see if we can win midweek Champions League against Sparta Prague. And we'll push forward to see if we can beat Southampton at home, as long as we don't go behind and try and make hard work of it. Please, a nice fluent performance, Manchester City. That would not go amiss because JSGC very nearly had a heart attack yesterday in the 95th minute of this game. John Stones, what a beautiful man. I love him. There we go. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you're watching this on Big Up, then Big Up. Thank you very much for tuning in. Much appreciated. Big shout out to you. If you're watching this on YouTube after the stream, then if you are interested in doing more interaction and tuning in, then do go and check out my Big Up. I'll leave the link to that in the description. Go and become a member. It is free. That would be much appreciated. I've got plenty more streams coming up for you guys, including my next debrief, which will be the Champions League game between Manchester City and Sparta Prague. I think that game's taking place on Wednesday. So let me have a very quick look, and we will be live on Thursday probably late afternoon BST for you guys to look forward to. I need to have a look at my work schedule to see when that will be. It will be on Thursday. I'll have the link out to that already out in probably the next 20 to 30 minutes. So you can have that to look forward to. I'll see you all on Thursday here on Big Up. So big up to Big Up. Much appreciated. Thanks for tuning in. I've been JSGC. Take it easy. Peace. Ciao for now. And Julia, watch-alongs, they'll be back. They are on YouTube for you to look forward to. I will get that all sorted and everything will be out for you to set your reminders for on Tuesday, so tomorrow. Watch-along for Sparta. It will be here live at 7:30 p.m. BST, so I'll see you over on that. Much appreciated, and thank you for tuning in, Julia. Do hope you have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. Peace.